I lost about 15 people and totally burnt out. I spent my entire life running and had no clue that I was doing that. I fell. I was healing for 2 months and I thought, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I'm not dead yet and everybody else is. And then I put boundaries up for the first time in my life and I chose me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Menopause Mindshift Self-Love Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa R. Triggs, best-selling author, self-love advocate, menopause queen, and podcaster. Today, I have a very special guest with me, and I'm so excited to introduce to you. She's a friend of mine and a lovely human being, and I can't wait to have this chat with her about self-love. Please help me welcome Janet Hamilton, host of the Anomaly Factor. Welcome, Janet.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. All right, so we're going to talk books. You've got a book out, 2 books actually out, and you're starting your podcast and a new business, and we want to hear all about it. So firstly, tell us about yourself and where you're from. Where do you hail from? Whatever you want to share with. Who is Janet?
I'm an anomaly. I've got the Anomaly Factor podcast now and a coaching website, which is currently under construction. I live in Trent Lakes, Ontario, Canada, and I have been self-employed with my husband for about 30 years with Durham Controls and Durham Combustion. And after caretaking for about 15 years, I lost about 15 people and totally burnt out because I spent my entire life running basically for myself and had no clue that I was doing that. So in my own transformation and healing journey, I thought, who am I going to look after now? No one else is around. And I was forced to slow down with my burnout. I fell. I was healing for 2 months. And I thought, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I'm not dead yet and everybody else is. And then I put boundaries up for the first time in my life. And I chose me in December of 2022 because I knew there wasn't much more I could do for my father. He passed 3 months later in March, but I could feel myself slipping away even before him. And that's the beginning of my own self-love journey. I've been focused on the external my entire life. I'm a natural healer and caretaker, and I had absolutely no clue that's what I was doing. I put in boundaries. I didn't understand energies, and that's the birth of the Anomaly Factor podcast and my coaching website in the last 2 years since I've basically regulated my own nervous system. I've been an author, like you said. I've created 2 books, one called Understanding Feelings and Emotions, because I don't quite know them yet myself, and Caregiver Survival book for other caregivers so that they don't end up in the same shoes as I did. I'm focusing on the self-love to heal, and it's been transformative. My perspective on absolutely everything has changed, and I think I'm meeting myself for the first time in my life. I feel like a 60-year-old, 6-month-old.
And knowing you and knowing part of your story, you have so much to share and so much to teach people about themselves and life. I know you have a lot of exciting things going on now, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But how exactly did you end up in this area? I know you just explained your journey and that kind of stuff. Is that particularly what brought you into the field of helping others? Or have you always been a person who's been giving to others, being of service, always been part of who Janet is?
I'm not sure if you can see this or not. Can you see the photo?
Yes.
So I was the one looking after the crying little boy, which is my brother. And it was just natural. That's all I've ever done is look after other people because I just had this capacity to seem to know what they needed in the moment.
I've always been a very compassionate, I am emotionally intelligent.
I'm a highly sensitive empath and I am overly emotional. I feel and everything much more deeply, I think, than a lot of people. I feel others more than I feel myself. And that's all due to what happened to me. And I'm still learning to release the energy and connect and feel in my own body. There's reasons, there's causes and effects to everything, root causes to absolutely everything we choose, like learning and repeating what we've been taught by our teachers, our parents, our mentors. And then we understand that those are conditioning layers and that we have to remove the layers to find out who you're meant to be before the world made you out to be. Those are words of my mentor, who's Dr. Gabor Mate. So I started my own personal development journey at 39 because I'm so type A. I wanted it all figured out before I was 40. I turned 60 in February and I'm still seeing new aspects of myself. And I've become an international life and health coach, an integrative holistic practitioner, an author, speaker.
Can you tell us more, if you're comfortable, a little bit about your story and how your life situation? Because you actually mentioned a couple minutes ago about how we're raised and all that kind of stuff. And I totally agree. Similar situation. We're a product of our environment. We're a product of our parents, the way they have brought us up. And they pass along their mindset and their ways onto us as children. And then as adults, a lot of us figure out that, hey, you know what? I actually, not that I don't agree with that way of thinking and being raised in the way I raised my own children, I would do that very differently. So that's a really important thing that you have brought up there. So what are some of the positives that you have found that you can share with us that have come out of what you have learned in your search to find Janet and your own self-love journey?
The biggest positive for me is I do believe I probably saved my life. I've lived with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder my entire life, and I knew that, but I did not know why. I never felt like a victim. And between when I burned out and was healing, I slowed down. I was forced to slow down. And I'm not good at relaxing. Doesn't feel comfortable for me.
Feel like you need to be doing something, or do you always feel like you need to just keep your brain occupied?
It was more my body, the energy of my body. I can sit here, and if I'm talking or working gently, as opposed to physically moving, which is what I used to do more of, everything my body wants to run. So it's not easy to relax and to just be for me. I've spent my entire life longing to belong, and now I literally long to just be. Felt more alone with many people around me, a large family, lots of friends, and they're pretty much all gone.
Now you're making new friends and meeting more people who understand and think more like on similar paths as you are now, right?
Yeah, I'm finding my people in these Zoom squares all over the world. I'm understanding that there's only 3 to 5% of healers in the world, and they are all over. And there's usually like one in each family kind of thing. And it's interesting because I have learned that I'm very authentic, and I didn't even know that. And I'm just learning that my nervous system is hyper vigilant for safety. And when I approach people that are not authentic, my system detects it like no tomorrow. So I don't feel as comfortable relaxing in my own being with them and just being myself. It's just an energy. I feel it. It's bizarre.
You've really gotten to know your inner self, yourself in that way then. And that's a very special quality to have. My husband also shares high emotional intelligence. I'm sure it's similar for you, but he can read a room very easily. And he doesn't even know how or why, but if he's in a meeting, he just knows what to say, knows how to respond, or he can tell if they're uneasy or if they're not liking what's being proposed and all that. So then he's able to shift it a little bit and then they perk up again. And I think that you have that gift as well, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I grew up with no boundaries or understanding of energy or anything. So it was like probably the biggest learning I've had in the last couple of years is to know where you end and where I begin and the space in between, where I was completely open before. So I wasn't sure whose feelings I was feeling, whether they were yours or mine or both. And I'm starting to understand now, which allows me to be more present when I'm helping my clients, because I'm a firm believer that you can't take your clients any further than you've gone yourself. You can't resonate. And unfortunately, I seem to resonate with most people's pain and suffering and had no clue that I had it in my own body. I've never felt like a victim.
It's very interesting. And I know you've said that before, because one of the things I think as coaches or counselors sometimes have to be conscious of is not being too involved or too affected. The counselor has a counselor, the coach has a coach, you know what I mean? But you've described a little bit before in speaking with you that you don't seem to get that. Some therapists will take on kind of thing, especially if somebody's talking about something really heavy. But even though you're very empathetic and you're very highly emotional intelligent, you are able to keep it separated.
Now,
You know what I mean? To
Probably.
keep yourself away. Because a few weeks ago, we had a very in-depth conversation that I think ended up lasting about 3 hours. And it was only supposed to be an hour. But I just bawling my eyes out and I this and that. And you're very understanding, but you didn't take it on. You felt my pain, you felt for me, or, what my sadness, all that kind of stuff. But you're able to now keep it where it's supposed to be so that you're not affected by the people that you're working with. I think that's a gift as well.
Same time, I was believing absolutely the masses because I didn't have that boundary in between us. It was just a mishmash of everything. I think that's probably been the biggest awareness and understanding of myself and coming to grips with the gifts that I've been given. It's not been easy for me to own those. I'm much more comfortable with constructive criticism because I've self-parented myself for the most part. And the constructive criticism is what I welcome because that's how I grow. But when somebody gave me positivity, I'm having a difficult time owning that. And I'm just starting to realize that. And I do believe it has everything to do with the fact that I didn't have the holding and the mirroring growing up. As an infant, my mom was super, super depressed in utero as well. I wasn't wanted. And I was just, I think, happenstance in the backseat of a car or a bush somewhere. I'm not quite sure. But yes.
I understand. I understand. I was unexpected, the youngest of 7 children, and there's a big gap. And so I fully understand. I was not planned.
Learning through all of not just the one course that I took 10 of them. And I got halfway through them and I'm going, oh, I'm starting to understand myself. Oh, I'm starting to do this. And then it was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it.
It's amazing how these kind of light bulbs go off, right?
Yeah, I do it to myself. Normal people sign up for 1 or 2 courses. I did a dozen.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to navigate through them, but it's got me where I am and it's allowed me to live my purpose and my passion. I'm an intuitive healer and I do.
Would you say that you thrive on keeping that busy yet? Is that something that you feel you need to do? You need to keep yourself busy? I'm going a little deeper here. What I want to get at is, are you not comfortable with quiet time, so to speak? You said that, yes, you're looking, but to take on so much, or was it opposite? Like you just felt so renewed. You're just like, oh, wow, yeah, this interests me and this interests me. And the next thing you knew, you had all these things going on.
I feel like I'm backwards to everybody else with their uncovering because I'm learning through the courses that I'm taking that your brain has no capability of retaining memories before the age of 3 because parts of your brain that are doing the encoding of the memories are not developed till the age of 3. So most of my trauma and the stuff that was not done to me, like the holding, the mirroring, the nursing, all that stuff actually impacts you more. It's pre-verbal trauma, it's developmental trauma, and I had no clue. Like I said, I've had a great life. I've had nothing to complain about really, or so I thought. But then as you go through the work that we're doing and you're peeling back the layers, it's maybe my life wasn't as ideal as I thought, but as we all know, that's all we've lived. We can only compare it to our own normal.
We don't know any different. I didn't know that I was subjected or lived in a household that was, I'll just say, use the word negative, and also not very open-minded, very kind of closed-minded. It took me many years to realize that living away from my family, living with having the spouse that I do who is very open-minded and likes to do things and all that, that I was raised in a very closed-minded environment. So I had a little bit the opposite of what you went through, being raising yourself and freedom and all that kind of stuff. Do you notice a connection between all these realizations and the things that you were going through with this time of your life, like midlife type thing? With your menopause journey at all? Did you put any links together kind of thing where one could say, you know what, this could be connected to that? Maybe the reason I'm feeling this way, it actually turns out that's a menopause symptom, anything like that?
I wouldn't say it was related to menopause, although that's been a big part of my journey. I literally had every defense mechanism and every limiting belief going. And I didn't even know it because that was my normal. So peeling back the layers, I've always had this ability to see more clearly than some, but now I have even more clarity. And it gives you laser focus. I don't know how to explain it. I've been running from the pain because the pain for me was in the first year of life. And I had no clue because my mind does not recall it, but my body remembers it. And it just blows my mind away that healing is totally possible, especially when I didn't even know you were suffering.
Yeah, because like we said earlier, we don't know any different until you actually are subjected to something different and you pick up your curiosity and go, oh, wait, maybe that wasn't supposed to happen. Or, oh my God, that did happen or treated me this way and all that kind of stuff. Can you expand a little bit more on your self-love journey in this journey that you took on to be able to be the person that you are now and get to where you are now? What kind of particularly inner work, so to speak, have you done? How would you put that into words, I guess?
The first 2 months I was bedridden. I wasn't even capable of watching TV. I was just in severe pain and I couldn't move. And then they told me 2 years because I thought I had cancer and or broke the top of the tibia bone in my leg. And they said if I didn't look after it for 2 years, I would have problems with it for the rest of my life. And literally 2 years and a day, each day it gets better. So I jumped back into the courses because I was doing nothing, in my opinion, because I've never really not done anything.
Right.
So I kept doing the courses, which was less work. And it was understanding the gifts of trauma, what trauma is. It's learning myself how to change beliefs through gratitude, through journaling, through stillness, which is becoming easier and easier for me to do. I have to make it a conscious thought effort and really force myself to do it. Connecting with like-minded people, like I said earlier, that are doing the work, that allow me to be myself authentically. They're not shutting down. They're not projecting. They're not defending. They're not blaming. And they can have the deep conversations that really light my soul.
So that authenticity with people would be really be solidifies the love that you have for yourself, you know, because you're able to give that love to those people they're receptive of it because they of our like mind in that.
To me, everybody's love. We're all meant to love each other. To me, nobody's better than another. The self-love. I always thought people were supposed to love you. You were loving them back, right? I didn't know that. I didn't have a problem with who I was. Don't get me wrong. But I never gave myself self-love, never gave myself compassion. I would never give myself permission to just be, which is all I literally long for now because I'm exhausted still. I'm recuperating. I don't have to suffer.
And the funny thing is that we don't realize it. We're so used to giving and giving of ourselves, right? As mothers, as wives, as daughters, sisters. When do we take time for ourselves? When do we honor ourselves? And I think one of the huge realizations that I have is that I need to put myself first. And like you, I wasn't doing that. Everybody else was coming first. And there were times where I thought I was putting myself first because I would go have a massage for myself or something like that. But that's not the definition really of putting yourself first. Putting yourself first is, I understand it now more as setting boundaries with other people and really making sure that you are surrounding yourself with things that make you blossom, that make you feel great. Do you have any final things that you'd like to share with everybody? Any words of wisdom to fellow women who are searching for themselves in the process of finding themselves?
Never give up on yourself. There's a reason for everything. The way you are, the way you act, the way you behave. And it's just learning to understand yourself deeper. And it's literally becoming aware of why you self-sabotage and changing the belief, changing the way you think and creating new behaviors. Most of us are reacting and responding from the past or worried or planning from the future when the present moment's the only moment we have. And it is a gift. And it's literally making the right choice in the right moment. And those little baby steps lead you to where you want to be. I've created so much more in the last couple of years than I've ever done in my life. And it's now because I feel like I'm finally totally aligned within my body. I've regulated my nervous system. My inflammation has reduced drastically. I felt like one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas pedal my entire life and this energetic pull backwards. But I feel that's being released and that's the flow that we're meant to be in, right? And we have no more obstacles, no more suppressed emotions. You've gotten to the root cause of absolutely everything. And then you choose to be whoever you want to be at this point. It's completely different and it's calm, inner peace and freedom. Now I just want to have fun and be with like-minded people, travel and help others heal.
You're such a beautiful soul, Janet, and I'm so glad that I know you and I love your story and I love talking with you. We can always go on and we have a lot of similar things that are a lot in common. So, where can everybody find you? Tell us briefly about your books.
I've written 2 books, Understanding Feelings and Emotions, because I'm trying to learn them myself. And I think this stuff needs to be taught more. Caregiver Survivals to avoid other people from burning out like I did. And I've written, I think, 3 or 4 different anthology chapters in the last year as well. One was called Beyond the Hurt, which is just getting released, I think, this week. I did one for my mom, one for my dad, and I think an unstoppable entrepreneur, because I feel like I'm a serial entrepreneur now. Find me by emailing me right now, because my website's just under construction. It should be ready soon, but it'll be theanomalyfactor.com or Janet at theanomalyfactor.com. So if you want to end your self-sabotage and figure out who you are uniquely inside, reach out and I can help you get to the root of the causes.
Absolutely. I hope that people take you up on that, at least connect with you. Where can they find you online? Are you on Instagram, Facebook? What are your handles there?
Janet 10 Hams at Instagram.
Thank you so much. Anything coming up for you? Any events? I think you have some exciting things coming up in the very near future.
Oh, yes. I have a TV show coming out with Legacy Makers. I can't believe I'm doing it. It's who am I? What am I doing? That's all I want to do now. This information has impacted my life so much. Never really gotten angry, but this makes me angry because it's not being taught anywhere. And it has really changed the whole trajectory of my own life as others. And I'm seeing things happen in real time. The transformation, the healing, the excitement, the gratitude for people connecting with themselves inside for the first time in their lives, like I've recently done. And it's simply joy and beautiful for me.
It is simply joy knowing you.
Not everybody would say that, by the way, but thank you.
And I know the feeling. We are who we are, our authentic selves. I have had to learn as well to be more diplomatic and not get angry. My own feelings about myself and not giving myself enough love to be able to need to be justified and need to be heard and all that kind of stuff. So you can really learn a lot.
But I said, I think we're both doing a speaking event at the end of the month as well with Wendy Porter, correct?
Yes, we're queens of the internet. And you're going to be a speaker there, correct?
Yes.
And that is July 28th through 31st. And that's going to be online with Wendy Amy Porter. So yeah, we're both looking forward to that. I think that's going to be amazing. It's going to be a fantastic event. People are going to get so much out of it. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I have just thoroughly enjoyed listening to you and speaking with you. And I'm so grateful to have you be a guest on the Self-Love podcast. And I look forward to speaking with you again. Again, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Lisa, for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I'll see you again soon.